Our next guest created Mystery Science Theater 3000. Joel Hodgson is here. Hi, Joel. Sorry.
Hey, y'all. Okay, take me up, Dan.
Sorry I took so long.
That's okay. Show me what you're seeing tonight. Let's go.
What? What do you mean?
What's going on in your heart? Oh, wait, you just did that.
Yeah, I did.
You did that, okay.
Yeah, so I know. I mean, the reason we were together tonight is because you've recently resurrected MST.
Thank you.
And you did it through crowdfunding. And what is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah. There's 14 new Mystery Science Theaters. Right
and they're
now.
all just dumped out there? You can just watch them all?
Yeah, they came out like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
All right. I don't think any of my jokes got used.
Yeah. Reptilibary Cherrysaurus is yours. Yeah.
That doesn't sound like my voice. I did like a lot of funny...
I honestly deliberately didn't look at who wrote what, so I didn't want to get into this.
Well, it was as long as the fans are happy.
I think so. It meant a lot that you got involved, man. It got a lot of press.
You were really like I don't know who would really know this. I don't know if you know this. Like when I moved from Milwaukee to Los Angeles, even before I did, because we met at Comic-Con, not like when I was selling comic books. You were a person that I recognized from television, that Schraub and I, therefore, you were so nice to us, treated us like equals, and therefore, when we moved to LA, we had your number and were hanging out with you, and you were still treating us like equals and kind of mentoring us because we were from the Midwest moving to this weird city and industry, and you were also from the Midwest and had been there a little longer. And we're like truly like the stuff that you told us, like it probably like definitely helped a lot.
Wow.
Like just the idea of like everyone out here is a fucking idiot, man.
Wait a minute,
really
you're
got to
doing...
accept that. You're like shit. Like the secret to happiness is like the day you wake up and you're like, holy shit, everyone's fucking dumb.
You might be embellishing there. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I remember that lesson.
Well, you guys were adorable, man. When I met you and Schraub, I just, had to be friends. You guys were great. I got just as much from you guys as you got from me.
I want to talk about crowdfunding because you just did this thing, and we did crowdfunding with Anomaly, so we worked with Kickstarter. There's actually you have a friend here who he's more qualified to talk about it, and could we do a Kickstarter for me to remember his name?
His name is Ivan Askwith, and
let's bring him up.
Before we do, I want to just kind of prep the audience for him.
He has a mole on his forehead that's like the size of a basketball.
Don't look at it. If you look at it, he flips out. It's not fun.
That's why he got into Kickstarter.
But Ivan has so much to do with the success of our Kickstarter. I worked with him every day on it, and he really helped me so much in understanding how to work with we had 50,000 backers, and we gave them updates almost on a weekly level, and we collaborated together in how to talk to them and how to keep them abreast of what we were working on with MST, and he's just he's writing the book on how to do this. He's an expert on it. And aside from doing our Kickstarter campaign, he's responsible for all the other top Kickstarter campaigns like Veronica Mars and Rating Rainbow and Super Troopers too. So he's really an expert at it. So it's Ivan Askwith. You want to come on up, Ivan?
Now.
See, I'm doing it Carson style, where I move down and then he moves over.
You told them about the mole on my forehead.
Sorry. It's weird. Go ahead, just flash it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I just think it's...
There's no mole, you idiots.
I mean, it unavoidably sounds like a weird keynote, like we're at some Silicon Valley company now, like introducing you because you didn't create Batman or like design the rainbow and Reading Rainbow, but you figured out in an emerging age you're a piece of shit. You're a spontaneously evolved person in a new food chain that hasn't had time to become old, which is like crowdfunding. There's a tightrope here. We did a Kickstarter with Anomalisa, and I'll be the first to admit we didn't know what we were doing. We fucked up in a lot of ways. Like, you need to update and all this stuff, but like, how much are you allowed to talk about the Zach Braff thing? Not to throw him under the bus and shit on him, but to talk about him as like a milestone of like crowdfunding where the consciousness had to change.
You know what? I think it's easier to just get him to talk about his worldview, like how he looks at it, rather than using
Joel's going to take all my questions for me?
Yeah, but I want you to do that, and then you can come back around to it if you want to. What can I come back around to? I think it's the Zach Braff thing.
No, okay, yeah. Look,
Yeah.
pretend I never said anything.
Yeah.
But if I didn't say anything, it's not like you just start talking. You have to be, something has to be said to you.
He can start talking at the drop of a hat, believe me.
What's that?
He can talk at the drop of a hat. He's ready to go.
Let's go ahead and get that started.
Is this weird for anybody else? Just me?
I guess we'll start with Zach Braff, and then we'll work our way back around.
Okay. No, don't. No,
I'm kidding.
We're going to come around to Zach Braff.
So in like 1960, Zach Braff was born.
Awesome. I think we've covered that. Now let's just see what you do.
Joel's theory is that it's okay for you to just start talking about your worldview. And I'd like you to do that just to prove him wrong.
You'd like me to do it to prove him wrong or right?
Well, no, don't prove him right.
Oh, right.
Make that your goal.
My
speculation is you will prove him wrong.
My worldview or my
Just start
crowd
talking
worldview?
about your worldview.
Yeah, explain your worldview.
Explain your worldview. That's how all good interviews start.
So in the beginning, there was Dan Harmon. Is that what I'm supposed to?
That's your worldview?
He told me at dinner that he's a
How does
monotheistic
that relate
guy.
to the Zach Braff thing?
Yeah, get the Zach
Now you
Braff
want me to
thing
talk
out
about
of the
Zach.
way, because it's really fucking up Dan.
So what was the question?
Worldview.
Worldview. What's Zach Braff's worldview?
What's
No.
your worldview?
That's a big question.
Well,
It is.
Okay, well then let me...
Joel was wrong. Is that what you want me to say?
Yes.
Thank you.
Joel was wrong.
Here's Kickstarter. Give me money so I can make something.
Nope.
Right. So explain what's the nuance that we learned there?
So I think the big misconception on Kickstarter is that people are giving money because they want to do somebody a favor, and it's not. Usually, if it's going well, people feel like you're doing them a favor by making this thing possible that they want. Like, I think... I had a conversation with Zach Braff's team when they were in the middle of their campaign. I had a much weirder conversation with Spike Lee's team.
Well, that's interesting. You talked to Zach Braff's people.
Yeah. It was. We talked about my worldview mostly. So you can ask him what it is if you ever have him on. No, I mean, I think Zach, I was telling you just before we came up that maybe his fault, maybe not, but Zach Braff's campaign is kind of like the cautionary tale for people now. Not just because he was like one of the first people to come on. And he came just after Veronica Mars, which was a weird moment for everybody because Kickstarter is kind of seen as this space where like people who have no resources can suddenly make a good pitch to everybody and see if they want to give them some resources.
Right. And
instead, Veronica Mars is this thing owned by Warner Brothers who have a decent number of resources,
right,
usually. And people were like, why the fuck is Kickstarter asking, or why is Warner Brothers asking people to give money for this thing that they could easily fund?
Right.
So right after that succeeded, Zach Braff was kind of like next out the gate. And the problem was he didn't have a very good explanation, in most people's opinion, for why he was asking for money when it was really clear on like Scrubs' fuck you money that he could have just funded the entire thing himself on one episode salary, or at least that was what everybody thought. And it got worse after he actually got the money. Like, he got what he was looking for. And then it started getting worse for him because the main argument for why he wanted money was he wanted creative freedom. And people were like, but you have your own money. That is creative freedom. And he used everybody else's money. But then, as I was telling you, the thing started to go sour when the first update that he sent everybody, to tell them how much he appreciated the money that he really needed from them, was on a GoPro video shot on the back of his jet ski.
Right.
With like a cool, hip indie soundtrack. I'm not even kidding. And then the second one was a little better. It was a GoPro from the back of a motorcycle. Still not kidding.
Right.
But and I think the kind of really bad moment for him was that I think he thought of it just like every other project he had gotten funded. He's like, I have the money now it's my thing, I do what I want with it. And there wasn't necessarily a clear sense that he owed all these people who had given
that basically what you're
$5.50.
doing is you're breaking up the 5 people who normally are paid by a corporation. These fat cats, you're breaking them up into possibly hundreds of thousands of people, and that collectively they're now your Weinstein. You actually work for them, and you owe them these updates and these deadlines
or at least
stuff.
you owe it
That's
to them
what we
to not
didn't
take them for
understand.
granted is like the problem,
Yeah.
right? Like I think people don't necessarily, it's misleading to think that people mostly care about the rewards. What they mostly care about is not being treated like they're a nuisance to you after they made this thing possible.
Right.
So in his case, the like really bad moment was at Sundance when Wish I Was Here premiered. And not only were his backers not given a heads up that it was going to be premiering, but I think the New York Times got a photo of one of his backers who had given a couple $1,000s standing in front of the theater because they hadn't been able to get a ticket, holding up a cardboard sign like a homeless person saying, backer from Kickstarter will pay for tickets to my own movie. And yeah, it didn't go over well.
I'm sure there's probably people in this audience with there's gotta be with Anomalisa. You actually took over for Anomalisa.
We got called
Wait,
at the tail.
can we talk about his worldview now?
Okay.
Just get that out of the way.
All right, but I'm telling
just
you,
kidding.
while you were in the bathroom, I checked in on his worldview. He is so racist.
But I saw Get Out.
but
He's one of the new racists.
It's like a 90s band. Yeah.
But that's the interesting thing about you is you. By the way, you don't work for Kickstarter.
No.
You're kind of a freelancer. That's what's interesting to me is that that's the healthy part of capitalism is that crowdsourcing popped up, which is vastly superior in my opinion. Forget about ethics and karma and like, give the people their TV and movies. It's just more efficient to say to people, hey, I'm thinking of making a Knight Rider reboot. I need $5 million to do what I have in mind. If enough people, and only if enough people, are so interested in it that they can pledge the money in advance to see it, then I can make it.
Well, that's the amazing thing about the studio system, right? Like everyone racks their brains and worries about getting fired because they're like, how do we figure out what the audience likes? Nobody knows what the audience likes, except of course the audience if you just ask them.
Right. Which you now can by clicking and
right. You can find out whether anybody would want to show up for the thing that you want to make, and if they don't, you don't have to waste your time on it. I mean, this is what you were saying, before earlier this evening. Is it's nice. It's not that you're begging people for money, which is what some people think it is. It's that you're finding out before you put 2 years of your life into doing a new project whether anybody gives a fuck about that project.
Right.
It's also good creatively too because you have to billboard a few ideas. So I think it actually helped me kind of like put forward what are the new things in MST or what can I show you about it that's kind of an innovation or a feature.
Well, because we're kind of spoiled. We're coming from a world where like those are the suits and like it's easy for us to look at them as mommy and daddy and we're creative. And if only I could if you would just let me stop doing math homework and start doing this thing that I really want to do, then I'd do it. But the truth is, no one wants to write an outline. No one wants to figure out what the fuck you're going to do. And I didn't want to throw Braff under the bus. No. I wanted to use him as a...
He made some pretty honest mistakes.
I think that was an interesting thing that we went through all those years ago where it was like, Kickstarter started and it was like, this guy doesn't have a finger and he wants to come up with a prosthetic finger that all the prosthetic companies won't allow him to make. Can I have money? And it was easy to think of it as like, that's what crowdfunding is. It's us revolting against the system and funding things that couldn't exist otherwise.
And see, that's exactly, if you want like the closest thing I have to a worldview, because I don't have a worldview, but I have a view
Just
on
say it's your worldview and let's move on.
So my worldview is basically that like, in this space, the thing that interests me about it is not the money. Like the money's the least interesting part of crowdfunding, and I get kind of like itchy and pissed off when people are like, that guy's a crowdfunding guru, which is what Joel now makes a point of telling everybody when he introduces me to them. Because to me, the money isn't the interesting part. The fact that the crowd at large has the chance to say, this is what we want, and we're tired of people ignoring us when we say we'd rather, it's the Futurama meme, like, shut up and take my money.
Yeah, well, because the people that capitalism and populism it's not like they're removed from each other. It's not like people that want to make money are constantly going, oh, what all those people want is so disgusting to me. They use it, they throw it in the face of people. They go, well, the people wanted it. So it's like, just connect those wires, whatever. Why am I explaining this to a nation of people that already know? All right. So your worldview is basically like, I know you voted for Trump. You explained to me.
It's part of being a racist. We have cards that instruct us.
We have limited chairs. Is there anything that, because I want to bring up our
actual guests? Yeah.
I want Joel to stay because I value his disruption. But you, I'm going to trade for other people.
Fine.
So it's okay. He can take it.
It's a simulation, so it's totally.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's fun. You and I will talk when you're ready for 6 seasons in a movie.
Oh shit.
Yeah, see, okay. So there's a thing I can't. That's the thing. After in a post Veronica Mars world, like I feel sometimes I feel.
No, I'm
like,
not getting off the stage.
I do feel like people they're going like, how come Dan doesn't love Community? How come he doesn't want to help us out? Because if he did, wouldn't he just jump on the internet and say, who wants to pay me $1 a ticket? I need $40 million to make the Community movie and all this stuff. It's like. Can you tell me why I'm not doing that? In a way that will make some people like feel less like it's like a symptom of me not liking.
I could guess a bunch of different reasons, and I can tell you like why Joss Whedon doesn't do it with Firefly, which is the other one besides you that people keep asking for. And that's that just because the possibility is there doesn't mean that it's necessarily what you want to do with the next chunk of your life, or it doesn't mean that there's a story you want to tell just because people want a story told. Like if you had an idea and you had no other way to do it and you were itching to tell that story, then maybe you'd be looking at it. But to do it just because it's what people are clamoring for doesn't mean that you're going to get excited enough.
So you're saying the reason there's not a Community movie is because Dan doesn't like Community.
That's my worldview.
I heard it's because I'm like Joss Whedon. That's what I heard. I feel like your simulation is glitching.
Oh no.
I didn't raise any money to remember your name, so
that's okay.
Ivan Askwith.
It's still Ivan.
What is it?
Ivan.
Ivan.
Askwith.
Okay. Russiagate. But is there anything I want to honor you because you came up, stuck your neck out, and like put up with this? So is there anything from your worldview that like you want to plug anything? Tip anybody off to any like fucking projects you're cooking up? Is there a Knight Rider series that needs people to click on, or any projects?
I'm supposed to talk to Justin about something.
Really?
Oh shit.
Maybe.
About the fact that I'm always out of the loop on Justin projects?
I'm no comment.
What are you supposed to talk about Justin about? What is he up to now?
First you hold back on the Zach Braff, now you're holding back on Justin? We want to know.
Wait, what is Rick and Morty being deprived of that it needs to be crowdfunded? It's a fucking virtual reality project, isn't it? He's obsessed.
I genuinely don't know what he wants to talk about.
Oh, he might just want to introduce you to like a porn star or something.
If there's money in it, yeah.
Yeah. You got to come over to my house. It's going to be great.
Those pickups never end well.
I never get invited anymore.
Oh.
It's all right. There'll still be a season 4. All right. Well, so let's thank Ivan for sharing.
Ivan Askwith.
Okay.